there's a lot of employers out there that really fail their people.
Welcome back. I've got Tony Hughes with me again. Great to have you, Tony.
Hi, John.
Hey, Tony, one of the things that disturbs me is some research I've looked at recently, that the average salesperson is turning over from job to job every 18 months.
Yeah, I think the exact number is 17 months in business-to-business selling. So it's a very disturbing trend. The whole idea of cradle-to-grave career in any profession has actually gone away. It's one of the realities of how technology is disrupting and changing every workplace.
And in my experience, 18 months is about the time you start hitting your straps in a new job. You've gone through, you're ramping into the organisation. You've learnt about the organisation, their products and services, their customers, what their unique offerings are, and so on. And now we really are driving up the pipeline and starting to get results. And at 18 months, we're out. That's no good for either the organisation or the individual.
No, and there's no shortage of crazy organisations that set ridiculous targets for a region or a geography, and then they hire like there's no tomorrow, and then they busily try and offboard those people. So the whole philosophy of we'll hire a bunch of people and then we'll just get rid of the bottom 30%, I really think borders on being immoral. It's certainly not a good business strategy. And the problem for salespeople that get caught up in that cycle is they end up being seen as a bit of a journeyman or journeywoman. They can't really hold a job long enough, or they just stay in a role long enough to be found out, when often that's not true. There's a lot of employers out there that really fail their people.
So there's fault, I guess, on both sides. One's the employer and the way they hire their people, and I think we've discussed that before, and maybe we can discuss that in the future. What I'd really like to discuss is, what's the employee do about that? If I'm out looking for a new role, what should I keep in mind?
Well, for a salesperson, if you're looking to go to a new company, you need to think about three key things. You need to think about the people that you're working with, the patch that you're going to have, and the market fit for what you're actually operating in. So the first thing with people is you need to make sure that there's good cultural alignment, because culture is really nothing more, nothing less than the behaviour of the leaders inside a team.
And that behaviour comes out in the way they do business, the way they relate to other people, the values they've got. So you really need to check all those, I guess. If you're going to start looking at a job, do your research and really test that out.
You do, and the last thing you want is some sort of boss who's got a blowtorch in one hand and a spreadsheet in the other. You need a boss that's going to invest in coaching and mentoring you. But the next thing you need to look at is really product fit. So when you have a look at what they're taking to market, is there a good product market fit? Is there strong intrinsic value with what they're trying to sell? And often there's just a really poor fit that people are trying to go and take to market. So they need to really do their due diligence and assess whether there's good fit in the marketplace.
And the other side of that product fit is, if I'm going to be coming into roles, and we've talked about having to have domain expertise and be a specialist in different areas. We're not talking about being a specialist in product there. We're talking about being a specialist in some part of the domain of the customer.
Yes.
We've got to make sure that product fits with whatever the domain expertise we've got, and it's going to work in harmony with the conversations we have with the customer.
Yeah, exactly. So they need to check that there's good fit at a people level and cultural alignment, that there's good product market fit, and then the third thing is what I call patch. So what they need is a viable territory. So again, a lot of companies are busy halving the sizes of territories and upping everyone's quota, on their crazy quest for growth.
Right.
But the salesperson's got to really understand, what's the territory that I'm going to be given? Who are the reference sites in that particular territory? How am I going to be able to help customers to work with me to go and win and onboard new clients? So you really need to assess all three of those things before you jump. Often people just go from the frying pan into the fire. You need to avoid that.
And it's more than making sure there's some good named potential customers in your patch. It could be that those big names have no intention of bringing new suppliers on.
Yes.
Graham Hawkins talks about this a lot, where a lot of organisations are reducing a number of suppliers. So if you're going to a new patch with new customers, make sure the doors are going to be able to be opened.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. So just make sure you're going to love the people that you work with, that there's good market fit, and that you've got a viable territory.
Great 3 points, Tony. Thank you very much for your advice. For all those out there, avoid the 18-month cycle. Get into the next role you go to. Make sure those three areas are fitting, and you're likely to have a much longer and more satisfaction in the career role you're going to.
So true. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Tony.